Here we are. Okay. Okay, we're good. Okay. So sorry for being a little late here. I just realized that when I started sharing in a group, I went on my personal profile. So my apologies for that. So that's why I'm 2 minutes late. So folks, first of all, my name is Gingras. I'm a Crown Diamond with Max International. And as you know, we're going through the 90-day run, which we are actually mirroring the 90-day run that Eric Worre is actually hosting in his accelerator. And today is actually day 9. I know Dr. James yesterday said day 6. What Eric does is he counts Saturdays and Sundays as days. So it stops on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's kind of, you do the assignments and everything else. And day 8 was yesterday, tonight. Today is day 9, late afternoon or this evening, depending on where you live in the world. Now, the reason I'm clarifying this so you don't get all confused, well, yesterday was day 6. Well, actually, yesterday was day 8, and today is day 9. And in fact, Dr. James is an amazing training. And I really, really do recommend that you go back to the trainings that we hosted. And Chizoma, how are you? Welcome to the group. Really appreciate you. Mary, welcome in the group. Welcome to this session here. And if you see my hand going up here, my phone is up here and actually flickering to see all of you here. So, thanks again. I really appreciate that. Yes, it was my birthday. I had a wonderful time, but I don't want to make this about me right now. This is a short segment. We want to focus on that session to help you build your business. Now, as I was saying, very important is that you go back into the featured videos in the group, which started on the 4th of January. And if you're just popping in and you're seeing this for the first time, yes, please, by all means, pay attention to this particular video, but do go back and watch the other videos and do the assignments. Doing the assignment is a critical aspect of you getting results. Just learning, it's wonderful, but applying, it's a lot better because that's when you get results. So yesterday, Dr. James talked about lead generation, and that was really part 1. Today is kind of part 2, and we're going to be focusing on going to Facebook groups and post some questions. And just before I continue, I also wanted to congratulate all of you that are actually taking an active role in participating. Hey, Gloria, welcome. Thank you for joining in. Participating, what I mean by that is you actually post your goals. This is what some of you have done. That was, I believe, day 2. That was posting your goals. And many of you have done that. You posted your 3 goals. And then your question was, what are your goals, or what is one of your goals? And some of you have succeeded doing this and you shared it in the group. Congratulations, and participate into the group, folks. It's important that you collaborate and you share, that you recognize maybe some things that might have been posted that you thought they did a good job. You may want to comment on this. We need to support each other. And this is really important. And in fact, I find that you will learn even more if you pay attention to what others are doing and commenting on their posts. Hey, Rose. Bienvenue. It's glad to have you here. So one of the things that we want to talk about here today, to go back to the training of today, is lead generation part 2, which we're going to be focusing on going into Facebook groups. Now, one of the things that's important in going into Facebook group is, again, yesterday, Dr. James talked about finding a group that resonates well with you. And that has your top fan, right? The top followers that you would really appreciate, and then from there connecting, applying to be part of this group, connecting with this page, and then from there start paying attention to comment, paying attention to who are the top contributor to that page, and from there you can click on the top contributor little icon, and it'll show you a list of all the top contributors in that particular group, and then you can start following their comments, and then you can connect from them. So it's really, really interesting what we're learning here. Now, what we want to talk about here is in joining this group. Again, you want to search for topics that And I'll give you some examples. I'll try to keep this training really short here, and I'll give you some examples. I have an iPad over here, and I'll show you exactly some of the things, and even a post that I did back in 2014 when we were going in Ghana. I want to share that with you. It's really interesting because what we're learning now, I did that back 9 years ago, not knowing that that was the way to go about it. But again, back to my point is that you want to find join public groups, right? It's easier than private groups, because private group you have to apply, ask to join the group, right? Instead of apply, join the group, and then you have to wait for a response, a series of questions to ask, and it's cool, you can do that. But public, which you're interested in, everybody can see what you do. They can see what you do, of course. So I do recommend to go with public groups if you can, but in some cases I went also in private groups. Okay. And one of the things that is important, I want to use an example of traveling, because this is something that Tammy and I have done before, not knowing that we're learning this 9 years later. I did this back in 2014, is knowing that I'm going in a country. I wanted the team to know that we're going there and let everybody know that we're going there. And it has served us well. I mean, really well. We ended up with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that attended some of those meetings. Some cases, it was like 400, 500, 600 people. It was crazy. Right. But a lot of that is we didn't just show up and we began before we went there. And it started with this social media example that we're going to be sharing with you here today. So, for example, let's just say that you want to go to, Australia, right? Select groups that are related to traveling in Australia, and, topics and countries that you can relate to, and then join these groups. Okay. Join the group. Now, one of the things that sometimes also what's important is when you find, keep in mind that what you want to do is you want to find, you want to message, and then you want to ask the question. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we go through this session. You want to find a group, and then you want to basically message once you actually find the right comment, the right person. We'll go back to that in a minute. And then ask a simple question. You don't want to start writing a book with all of these things. Very simple to the point question, yes or no, or this or that, something that's very simple for people to answer. Examples, it could be search for, book lovers. It could be dog lovers. It could be travelers. Hey, I own a Tesla, right? So it could be groups that are different, Tesla Model X to be more specific, or maybe Tesla as a general. Right? It's something that I'm interested in. I'm interested to hear what people are saying and what people are discovering, and, the things that's going on with the new software uploads and what people go through. And you know what I mean? So it's something I can relate to. You understand my meaning? So you want to find groups and topics that you can relate to. So that way, when you go back to your page, if there's certain topics that you relate to that reflects on your page, it creates that congruency, that consistency. And often this is where someone may choose to accept your friend request, because they can relate to what you're saying. And what you're saying, it was not just to connect with them, but they actually saw it on your own page. Right? It's just little details. And when you think about it, it's so common sense, but it's just little details, but important details. Okay. So there's really two options considering when you're a Facebook group. Option one is you want to post yourself in a group. Okay. You want to post a message that you're going in this market. You're not going to be there for long. There's 3 different cities you're going to be visiting. And, what are some of the interesting things that we can do? For example, in Accra, Ghana, what's some of the interesting things that we can do? So it's just a typical question you may want to ask. And you may have a lot of people. It's amazing how people will respond to a message or a question or a comment that they can relate to when it comes to their city, when it comes to where they live. People get very passionate about that. Again, it's just food for thought. And I really appreciate when Fraser shared that, because it was absolutely dead on. So this, in about 3 months and about 4 months, I'm going to Accra, Ghana, and we're actually going to be meeting with some friends, and we're meeting with some business associates. And what are the interesting things to do in Ghana? What restaurant, what place would you recommend to eat? What is the best meal for me to eat once I'm there? So this is an example of an option one where you can actually post in that group. And then from there, people will interact. And one thing that you could do is, as they interact with you, when you add them as a friend, right? And then simply you can actually respond in the comment section, but then you may want to send them a private message saying, and it's very, very important as you share the message, that remember what Dr. Jane was talking about is, how did you find them, right? And what's the question? And the last portion was just trying to remember the detail. And basically, yeah, how did you find them? And then simply ask the question. So it's important. Here's a message. When you connect with them, it's important to understand that there's a certain logic as to how you found them. And what do you want with them? What are you trying to say to them? There has to be some logical reason why you connect with the person. That's why we're sharing. It's very, very important that you actually have a certain flow so the person can actually relate to the reason why you're connecting with that person. Okay, very, very, very important. So that's the first option, is simply posting the question yourself. The other option is to leverage from other posts. Yesterday, I know that Dr. James talked about a post that they might have found in a certain group. And in that post, it says, I think it says something like top producer or top performer. I forgot the exact name. We'll see it in a minute when we log in. And from there, these are people that contribute a lot on the page. And one of the things that I do is I see what kind of comments they've put into that page. And based on that comment, then I will respond to that comment in related to maybe something that I'm interested in, or just a simple question. For example, if we go back to the topic of Ghana, and I'm in a certain group and someone says there's a certain meal that's really popular there, and I know that I tasted it before and I really enjoyed it, right? So I may just say, hey, Mary, actually, I found you in a Ghana group, so-and-so, and I know that you've mentioned about this meal, and I actually really, really enjoyed that meal. Absolutely enjoyed it. And what other meal would you recommend? So what you're trying to do is, you're not trying to connect immediately to try to sell your deal. What you're trying to do is to create a connection. That's what it's all about. And it's amazing on how quick you can change topics in the midst of the conversation. One of the things that Fraser talked about, if this a group of you and you happen to be, I don't know, in a bar, or you happen to be, eating out together, and there's a group of 3 or 4 or 5 people, right? Think about how many topics that each and every one of you have talked about. Think about it. There's not necessarily a logical reason why you're talking about dogs, or talking about traveling, or talking about money, talking about income, talking about opportunity. Do you know what I mean? People will just, a conversation will lead, and as the conversation creates interaction among each other, then a topic may take a bit more space in a conversation, and you go back an hour later, and then they're talking about something completely different that has nothing to do with you. So again, sometimes people say, well, how am I going to talk about this opportunity or about these products if I'm talking about their dog, or I'm talking about a meal? Well, that's my point. The point is, you want to create a relationship. You want to create a connection. This is what we're trying to share with you here. You're trying to connect a connection with that person. That person can relate to you, and you can relate to them. And in the midst of that conversation, it's not hard to change topics, because we know that health is a major, major point of discussion that it's easily to get into. And with Max International, once you get into the health aspect, there's so much we can offer. And from there, there's so much you can expand. You understand? But it's important that when you are connecting with that person, that you don't try to overwhelm them with too much information at once. Okay. So what's very important, as you keep in mind, as you're connecting with the person, is that you want to post a question that will give you the opportunity for them to give you, it's an easy answer. You don't want to make it hard. Simple answer, and easy to follow. And the kind of questions that will give you in response will either this or that. And that's what will create more response, a lot more interaction. If you recall, I forgot who might have done this segment, where if you post a difficult question that requires a bit more education, a bit more knowledge, there's going to be a lot less response, but the quality of people that might respond might elevate quite a bit, but a lot less response. But if you make this very simple and very easy, you'll get a whole lot more response. But again, you've got people from both scales, right? From less educated to more successful to less successful, whatever. And then you can sort them through. But the point, the example over here is to keep things very simple and to the point. So here's your assignment here for today. Go into a Facebook group that you can relate to and post a question. And the question has to be simple. It's either this or that. Simple. And I want to give you a quick example here. Let me share my screen very quickly. Hopefully this works. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So this is my personal page. Okay. And here's an example. So you want to go on your personal, this is an iPad. So that's why it's a little bit larger. Okay. And over here, you can see I've done some previous questions here. There's Ed Milet. That was part of my homework. That was on day 8. The one that Dr. James talked about. This is an influencer that I very much respect and everything else. And I started connecting with some of those people in the group based on the training that he was sharing. I suggest you go back and listen to it. But in this case, let's talk about traveling to Ghana. So here it is, traveling to Ghana. So travel and see Ghana. There's 12,000 members over here. There's about 5 posts today, I guess. The other one is 665 members. The other one has 4,300 members. There's 8 posts a week, right? So again, you can choose to join us, but here's what I wanted to share with you. I just realized over here that I did a post back in 2014, right? Back in 2014, November 17, right? And here's exactly what I'm talking about, is that we're traveling to Ghana, Africa. We're very excited. We have the opportunity to team up with Max Africa to witness the grand opening of Ghana. I mean, some of you might remember this. And then from there, I never forget. When we attended this meeting, I was not used to the culture, the timing and everything else. And it was like, I don't know, about 12 people sitting in a room that could fit easily 250 people. And I was sweating. I was like panicking. Oh my God, I just told our CEO that we're going to fill that room. And I was just freaking out. And at the end of the day, the room got so packed. I think there was about 600 people in the room, and it was so packed that the leaders had to leave the room to make space for the guests that were waiting outside. It was just amazing. It's not because of that one post, but I'm just saying that one post was part of the process to letting people know we're coming in. And then all the leaders went to work and started doing their own inviting. And it was an absolute success. So that's just an example that I wanted to share with you here. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to share with you, I mean, you can see here, these are all the posts that were done there. I mean, this is a book that was introduced to me by one of our leaders, and I was just commenting on that. So anyway, long story short here, guys, the point here is that you want to connect with your audience. You want to build a relationship with your audience. And the fact here is you want to ask questions, and you want the questions to be simple and important to remember. Find groups you can relate to. And it would also help you if you go into a group that you can relate to and you're interacting with them with feedback and comment. And if they go back, and trust me, they'll come and check you out, that there is some congruency on your page in line to what you were interested in when you asked them. It will definitely help your case and wanting them to connect with you. Okay. So again, just to recap on the dare for today, the assignment is find a group, a Facebook group, post a question, keep the question simple, this or that. Do the assignment. Once you've done the assignment, feel free to post into this group, the Crown and Global Impact. I've done the assignment day 9. And share your successes, share your stories. What has happened? If let's say you did the assignment on day 8,
which is Dr. James. Come back here, share your successes, share what people have done. And you know what this does? It helps others that are maybe struggling, trying to do the same thing, but show them that it's worth doing because you're having success and connecting with someone, not signing up. That's a whole new ballgame. I hope I make sense. So folks, my name is Chris. It was a real pleasure to share with you. And thank you so much for everybody who wished my happy birthday yesterday. I had a wonderful time. Tammy did a really, really, really good job in entertaining. It was wonderful. I had a good time. So thank you so much, everybody. And have yourself a wonderful day. And remember, go listen to the previous training and do your assignments. Bye for now.